Pizana
and Co.
I need to get some more practice in, so it's great to have you guys over here to practice. And you should have seen like the drop on their faces. I was like, what? It's not okay the other way?
Olly,
it's okay for you to say that, but
did you-
for me to say that.
Did you throw a spiteful dinner party for your friends who threw a practice dinner party? You would all belong perfectly in nobility.
Like the kind of like
the
the
realization.
screwed up little weaseled faces.
Weasel faces. Have you seen these people since?
Oh yeah, great friends.
Okay.
Weaseled faces.
What's the point of being spiteful against people that you don't like?
Well, we going?
No, let's just go. All right, you go.
Welcome to Second-Hand Haunting.
I was going to stop you there.
What?
Do you want to jump in on that? You want to do the...
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, so he has the
do
welcome to, and then we
okay,
do
okay.
Second-Hand Haunting together.
Stop it, you! Well, God damn it, don't drink! Welcome to Second-Hand Haunting, where we read ghost stories out of a second-hand book someone got from a second-hand shop.
And Callum gets the giggles.
Try and get sabotaged.
Sometimes.
Hey, Amber.
Hi, Callum and Olly.
Hey, Ollie.
Hey, Callum. Hey, Amber.
Hey, Callum. Wait, no.
So, Callum, what have you got for us today?
Well, I think we're still celebrating Ollie's recent trip to California, right?
Absolutely. Let's celebrate. I mean, I did request whether or not we could do another American story because I do have, and I feel bad about this, but I've just been going on about America ever since I got back from America.
You're obsessed.
I'm obsessed. I just continuously talk about stories from America, and I was like, wonder if we did another American story which could continue my obsession with America. But I feel like it's going to end soon. It's a temporary obsession.
Yeah, we'll see. I did grab one of my books that we have had before. It's Ghost Stories of California by Barbara Smith. And I've found a story specifically from where you were in San Francisco.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that was masterful of you.
Or should I say San Francisco Bay?
Here we go. I'm launching straight into it.
Uh-huh.
One of the fun facts was that when they were talking about the Bay Area, I didn't realize because they worked in the Bay Area. And I thought the Bay Area was like further down, maybe like down near San Jose or something. But like the Bay Area is, as one might imagine, is everything that touches the Bay.
Yep.
So that is San Francisco, like down that Bay Area, down to San Jose. So yeah, the Bay Area was a lot bigger than I thought it would be.
It is a significantly large bay and houses a significantly large amount of ships on the bay.
Ooh, like ghost ships?
Well, the story we have today is about a ship in San Francisco Bay. It's not a ghost ship, but it is a ghost with a ship. No, it's a ship with a ghost.
I was going to say, I think you're describing a ghost ship.
I did want to do my best Army Hearties impression.
It's not a pirate ship, but you might have the chance of an impression soon enough.
One thing that actually does happen to me sometimes when I travel, and I'm not sure if it comes from flying or just traveling in general, but I start getting like vertigo. I'm walking around. I mean, I don't think it's noticeable to anybody else, but in my mind, I feel like Jack Sparrow. Like from
You've got your
Pirates of the
sea
Caribbean.
legs.
Yeah, I feel like I'm like wobbling around. Like so.
Ollie's got his air legs, everyone. Look out.
So yeah, no, it feels like.
Does it happen when you get back to Australia for a few days after?
Usually after a few days coming home, it goes away. Funnily enough.
Huh. You're not just happy to be on holiday, are you?
And well, I mean, if happy to be on a holiday translates to me feeling like I'm on a boat.
Who knows?
Because that's what it feels like. It feels like I'm on a boat, even though I'm on like solid ground. So that's a fun fact about me.
Well, hopefully you don't feel too seasick tonight while we go yachting with the Duke.
Well, that sounds wealthy.
It's not the Duke you're thinking of.
What was I thinking of?
Probably nobility?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Do you want to take a guess now who the Duke might be?
Is it just someone that likes to be called the Duke?
Well, maybe. In the spring of 1979, a lawyer named Lynn Hutchins purchased a yacht named the Wild Goose.
Oh.
Now, I did look up the Wild Goose. It is a 41-metre yacht. That, like, big.
Substantial.
It's a push calling it a yacht. It has a crew of 32 people, while it was a minesweeper in World War II.
They could almost lie down end to end and reach the whole length of the...
Huh.
They probably could.
I want to see that now. Hutchins knew that the sale of the yacht had been heartrending for its owner, actor John Wayne.
Really? John Wayne's yacht?
Yup.
That's how you hike the price up on yachts.
The Duke was a man famous for not showing his emotions. At the time of the transaction, Wayne was dying. It was important for him to find the most suitable new owner for his beloved craft.
It actually reminds me of Futurama. Like there was like the neutral race.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And there's like one quote that always like echoes in my mind when like the ship was crashing down into the planet and the neutral captain like turned around to the first mate and was like,
Your neutralness. It's a beige alert. If I don't survive, tell my wife hello.
Yes.
I was going to say, finding the best owners for that. Did he not have children? Or did he... They don't get the yacht, just I'll sell it and they can have the money? Or...
I think he needed the money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I thought his career went all right. Did it not?
John Wayne?
Yeah.
Oh.
Am I thinking of someone else?
I mean, no. I mean, it could be one of those things where, and during the height, when they're like during the good times, they like spend a lot of money. Again, I could be wrong about this, but I'm just wondering whether or not it could be that when the work's kind of dried up and they're like, oh, I forgot to put money away.
Do we have a date for this story? Not yet.
The yacht was bought in 1979.
Oh, okay.
Now, John Wayne was big in like the 50s.
Yeah. Yep.
Like this is when he's dying of lung cancer. Post having starred in The Conqueror as a Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
Yep.
After maybe advertising.
Yeah.
Maybe after doing some advertising for Camel,
Yeah.
Was that dark? Was that too dark?
This is a show about ghosts and dead people, dude. Nothing's too dark. But don't advertise cigarettes.
Ever.
They kill people.
They do kill people.
For this reason, the lawyer was especially proud to have been able to purchase the famous yacht, and determined right from the outset that he'd keep it as he found it, going so far as to hire the same crew and to preserve Wayne's personal library and trophy wall.
That's nice.
You seem shocked, Amber.
It's on a boat that you would have like bookcases.
Yeah. I like that he had a trophy wall. I like that he sold his trophy wall with the boat.
Do you have to put perspex in front of the trophy wall when you're at sea?
I'm honestly...
glue them to the...
I'm honestly just assuming it's a stack of like Playboy magazines.
That's his trophies?
Yeah.
No, I actually saw a kitchen on a boat the other day where they had like a frying pan and the frying pan like moved with the boat.
Mm-hmm. Like a gyroscope situation.
Yeah, like with the frying. I thought that was kind of cool.
I'm still impressed they can do billiard tables on boats.
Well, I mean, it has to be a big boat. It has to be John Wayne's yacht for that.
That's a picture of John Wayne's yacht.
Beautiful. Man, that looks like a good time.
God, it's enormous, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely doesn't look like a minesweeper.
Just so we all know what we're thinking about in our minds.
We can chuck that up on on social medias.
You should. It's good to see more posts with some of the content.
You get out of my social media presence, will you? I'm gonna edit that ship as your head on the Instagram post.
Please do.
Crap.
Are you under the impression that I have some sort of semblance of like embarrassment because you've come to the wrong place for that?
I'm just now figuring this out after 40 episodes. Right up to the time of his death on June 11th, John Wayne continued to be content in the knowledge that the Wild Goose would be well cared for.
Not his children, not his
All right, I think we need to check now. Did he have kids? I don't know.
I
John
assume.
Wayne children. Oh my god, it's a worry when Google says, click here to see 4 more. Alright, that's enough of that. Not long after Hutchins took possession of the vessel, he was browsing in a store that specialised in maritime accessories. Sorry?
You've got to get your boating gloves, your boating hat, you've got all the stuff you need for boating in your newly purchased yacht.
Yeah, if you buy a boat, the first thing you have to buy next is a captain's hat, right? Suddenly and unexpectedly, he felt strongly compelled to buy a particular set of lamps. Puzzled at what he suspected was merely an uncharacteristic occurrence of impulse shopping, Lynn Hutchins returned to the yacht and hung the fixtures in place, without mentioning the incident to anyone. When along... Are you okay? What's happening over there?
Shame of no one must know that I wanted these lamps.
I bought the yacht. I bought the captain's hat, but I can't tell anyone I bought these lamps.
My dude, you just bought John Wayne's yacht. Get the lamps if you
I
want
think
them.
it's just so nondescript. He didn't say, look what I got for the boat. He just bought them and took them to the boat.
Yeah, okay.
When a long-standing crew member saw the lamps, he was enormously surprised. They were identical to lamps that had been hung in the Wild Goose for years, which had only been taken down because the 6'4" John Wayne kept bumping his head into them.
Was John Wayne tall?
Yes, he was.
6'4". Was he really that tall?
In heels.
I mean...
In Spurs.
This sounds like a coincidence, but it's really not. You're moored the boat in San Francisco Bay. You're a staff member. You get told, take those lamps down and get rid of them. You go to the nearest maritime store and you sell them on to them. You jump forward however many years. You buy the yacht and you go, well, now I'm going to go to the nearest maritime store. And the lamp, it's not...
Oh my god, it's the exact amount of lamps with the right screws to fit the boat I've got down the road.
And they look the right style.
Yeah.
So another thing that kind of stood out to me about America is that I thought everyone was a bit shorter than in Australia.
I feel like John Wayne strutting down San Francisco Bay.
I did.
Head above everyone else.
I kid you not, I literally Googled it after. I was like, are people in America shorter than Australia?
By coincidence, Hutchins had even hung the fixtures in exactly the same spots.
Yeah, where the screw holes are.
Yeah. The man's getting me to do his shopping for him, Hitchens quipped, and apparently his interior decorating as well. The first actual ghost sighting occurred at 4 o'clock one morning, just outside the boat's bathroom, or head as it is called in nautical lingo. The image was so vivid that Hutchins thought there really was someone on board, until he approached the image and watched it disappear without a trace. I dare say that if you know you've bought John Wayne's boat and you're sleeping on it, you're going to have some weird dreams about John Wayne, right?
I feel like that's what you bought it for, right? Is to
for the ghost.
Yeah, to commune with the ghost.
He didn't die on the boat.
I mean...
Although with how much he'd loved it, he probably would have loved to have been wheeled down there.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what they would be hoping for, right? They're hoping that he's coming back to the boat and just hanging out. That's... I mean, that's what I would
die on my boat, pilgrim.
I mean, that's why I would buy John Wayne's boat. Yeah, to have a whiskey with John Wayne's ghost. Like a bourbon whiskey. Whiskey is probably just a bourbon.
Smoke a big fat cigar with him.
That actually sounds quite English, but yeah.
Cuban cigars.
Cuban
Oh,
cigars.
yeah.
All right. Cuban cigars and a bourbon whiskey. You know, with
Illegally
John Wayne.
imported, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Smuggled in via the boat.
That's the one.
it
That's
has to be illegal, otherwise it doesn't count.
Exactly. Given Hutchins' description of what he had seen, it had to be the ghost of John Wayne.
Had to.
It's in italics, Amber. It had to be. The lawyer described a, quote, big, tall figure that, quote, filled the whole doorway and wore a cowboy hat.
Wow. Is this the first celebrity ghost?
Could be.
On the show? I mean, last week we had various celebrity ghosts, but celebrity in the modern sense of the word?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean...
It's certainly the first ghost wearing a cowboy hat.
I was going to say, meanwhile, John Wayne's ghost is also haunting a saloon.
Yeah.
In an old, theatre set. Sorry.
Yeah.
What was the person last week that you got so high you saw their ghost?
Cardinal Wolsey.
Yeah, Wolsey. Not counting Wolsey, because they're kind of not really a celebrity. They're more a historical figure. Like, is this the first celebrity kind of like actor?
I think so. I've read so many stories where
remember?
so many celebrities
Yeah.
kind of show up that I don't know what we've done on the show. The apparition offered, quote, a bit of a smile before disappearing from view. Hutchins' wife, Cindy... Did anyone peg this man for being married?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, could be,
I mean, he's got yacht money, so yes. He's got yacht money in the 70s.
He's got midlife crisis money, that's for sure.
Some could argue that marriage is when you start doing crazy stuff, right? Because, like, you're already married, so you don't have to worry about how it's going to be perceived.
Would I be angry at a Ferrari in the driveway or a yacht?
In the driveway?
Well, no, you're in a dock. You're like, let's go to Glenelg and go to the yacht, or...
Depends on the condition of the yacht, maybe.
It's John Wayne's yacht, you don't understand.
Of the three people sitting around this table, I know which one of the three of us is more likely to end up with a yacht.
I mean, like, imagine, like, imagine being invited over to, like, the jetty, feeling, like, a sense of anticipation, and then, like, getting to the jetty, and the yacht's, like, 40 years old and needs, like 101 repairs. Like,
You don't understand. It was John Wayne's. I could not get it.
you just have to, like, envision what it could be.
Poor Cindy.
Poor Cindy indeed. So Hutchins' wife Cindy has also seen what she believes to be the ghost of the late actor on The Wild Goose. Well, Folie
What? Oh, just that she's in on it too. If they start selling tickets to see John Wayne's ghost to this, I'm
It
onto
would be
them.
the most American thing ever.
I'm onto them if they start doing that.
While enjoying what used to be Wayne's private shower,
Hot.
she sensed that someone was staring at her.
Creepy.
The creepy thing is the next sentence that the author has written. The pretty young woman cut her bathing routine short and rather self-consciously got out of the cubicle with a towel in front of her. Did we need to know she was pretty, Barbara? Did we?
So, like, we're saying that creepy John Wayne was creeping on the apparent showerer? Is that...
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. It's funny that we sometimes, like, people get that feeling, like they're being watched.
Is it so surprising when there's 32 people crewing this yacht?
And they're all...
Well, they
being watched?
were when it was John Wayne's yacht.
It was 32 people crewing it when it was a wartime ship. It
Yeah,
may have
yeah,
been
yeah,
less in peacetime, but still, there's not no one else on board.
30 mine watchers, 2 crewmen.
Possible.
If you already think there's a ghost there, then you would start to think that something was watching you, right? Because you already feel...
Yeah. Virtually filling the doorway to the room was a large form.
For a second I thought you said fawn, and I was like, what? That did get into you.
It's got John Wayne's face and a goat's legs.
Anyway, you did.
It kind of reminds me, like, so we live next door to
A 40-foot yacht.
my in-laws, and they have, like, a habit of just treating this like their house, especially on the outside.
Mm-hmm. Is that because they own it?
Easy now. And, they'll come in and grab some, like, herbs or, like, do gardening. I mean, to be fair, I do love the fact that they do the gardening. Because they're retired, they don't have anything else on their hands, right? They're like, well, let's go do some gardening. But one day when we're having an event next door, I was just walking through the hallway and I saw someone, like, go past the garage door, but I couldn't hear the garage door or anything.
Oh.
And I was turned around to Georgia and I was like, oh, well, that's
a
definitely
ghost.
Mum. And she was like, Mum didn't come next door. And then later we found out Mum did come next door. just not to build up to it.
So the story is you thought your mum was there. Your mum was there.
Well, yeah, but, like, for a good, like, 16 hours, I thought maybe I'd just seen a ghost. Anyway.
So you know where she's coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I have to be cautious of what I'm wearing around the house because, like, there could always be something.
Oh, God.
Honestly, that's where I thought it was going to go. That you say you're going to be walking past the window and there she was.
Yeah, it could always be. I have to be cautious. I can't be like walking around the house naked because at any time someone could just be like coming past gardening.
You've always got to know where your towel is, Ollie.
Yeah. So anyway,
what was in the doorway?
They've actually been gone for like 2 weeks, and I've gotten to the ability to like walk around my house naked for a couple of days. And
why are you putting that image in our mind?
What? Do you not do that?
I'm not going to talk about it on mic. Of course I do.
I was going to say, it's not that embarrassing. Come on now. Like in your own house.
Look at him go red.
He's bright red.
Some of that wine.
Giant form in the doorway.
Giant form in the doorway. Getting another glass of wine. Wistfully thinking about times of past.
When she didn't have to live on a yacht.
Or be cautious of what she wears in front of the ghost.
As she stared at the image, it vanished, taking with it her uncomfortable feeling of being watched. Neither Hutchins' experience nor his wife's were on the lawyer's mind one afternoon in October of 1979, as he sat relaxing in the yacht's main salon.
It'd be really awkward if it wasn't actually John Wayne's ghost. If it was actually just like one of the sailors.
Yeah.
Right?
But they just big burly man they hired.
Yeah. But they want to think it's John Wayne. Right? Because it's John Wayne's yacht.
Of course they want to think it's John Wayne.
Yeah.
I guarantee. Like, the crew were like, these guys will keep us on if I wear a cowboy hat around the place sometimes. Skulk about in the shadows. When he heard clinking sounds coming from the bar across the room, Hutchins got up to investigate and glanced into a mirror hanging above the bar, just in time to see a tall man in cowboy attire standing directly behind the chair that Hutchins had just left. I like the implication that John Wayne's ghost is like, I'm going to wear the costumes that I wore all the time when I was working.
Yeah, not like he wouldn't have worn them on the boat anyway.
You know what, John Wayne? He probably would have.
I'm going to guess that it was one of John Wayne's assistants that probably would have. Because, again, like, John Wayne's assistant ghost, like, wants to, like, one of John Wayne's associates.
Hang on, you're saying that this is not John Wayne's ghost, it's John Wayne's assistant's ghost?
That is exactly what I'm saying.
Oh, my God.
Or like, one of the sailors dressed up as John Wayne. Because there's no rules in the ghostly realm.
I think they're totally fabricating this to sell tickets.
Yeah, this lawyer's realised he's gone a little bit in over his head money-wise, yeah.
So the lawyer that bought the boat?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the boat salesman being like, you know, I want to make your money back. Ghost tours. This boat pays itself off.
His wife was like, you know how we're going to make our money back?
That was exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
Like that's how he's explaining it to his wife. Like I know, honey, I bought John Wayne's boat, but it's really like an investment.
People are paying $5 each to come see the ghost, maybe.
Sorry, I didn't realise there was so much upkeep with maritime investments. I'm a lawyer, I did not know this. Again, the image was so sharp and solid that it fooled the boat's new owner. He thought he had a stowaway until the figure disappeared once again.
I was trying to remember like one of John Wayne's catchphrases and I just couldn't. Can you remember one of John Wayne's catchphrases?
I sure can, Pilgrim.
Oh, there we go.
I don't think he really had catchphrases. He just played like a different cowboy in every movie.
Yeah, it's too early for catchphrases in cinema back then, I think.
Right. I mean, surely he did other roles. Like, he wasn't just typecast as a cowboy every time.
He was cowboys and Genghis Khan.
Well, there we go. Genghis Khan.
I am not going to attempt to quote a John Wayne line as Genghis Khan from The Conqueror. I'm not doing that. But you better believe I'm going to give you a clip from the trailer of The Conqueror.
You do well, Kumlik. For while I have fingers to grasp a sword and eyes to see, your treacherous head is not safe on your shoulders, nor your daughter in her bed.
Genghis Khan was like not a good character. Like,
No shit.
Historically, not a good character.
No.
But it's been like so long that I feel like people like paint him in a good light.
Do they?
Well, I mean, I saw this thing the other day was, do you remember like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? And they like brought Genghis Khan back on stage.
Callum shaking his head.
And it was just, so it was like,
going.
I'm just saying, it was like, and it was just kind of like, it was like equivalent to like bringing Hitler back or something, right? Like, maybe not the same vibe.
Do you remember that in that same movie they brought Napoleon back?
Was Napoleon that bad?
Yes.
You know, I was actually chatting about Napoleon just the other day because I was talking about like the Napoleon complex, and I was like saying that even though it was
just ascribing it to all of America.
Well, no, I was saying like, maybe, but no, even though it was propaganda that Napoleon was short, they still have that whole psychological term for what people acted like.
Yeah, also, Oedipus was tricked into having sex with his mother, but we still call the complex where you intentionally do it.
I did not know that. That's brand new information.
Yeah, he doesn't know it's his mum.
Hang on, which bit of that is news?
That he was tricked.
Okay, gotcha. Thank God.
So John Wayne's yacht.
Hutchins now says that he never feels as safe anywhere as he does when he's on board the Wild Goose. He feels certain that the former owner's spirit is a protective one, and that neither man wants any harm to come to the boat.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah? I mean, if you'd insured it, maybe. Like, really, really well. Hutchins has come to believe that the rhythmic thumping he hears on the deck every night is Wayne maintaining his habit of walking 20 laps around the ship.
Oh, is that what John Wayne did?
I guess so.
Let's hope so.
You know,
Definitely not just boat noises. Sorry.
I saw
Or
something.
his wife with one of the 32 crewmen.
Now.
Jesus.
Leave Cindy out of this.
Poor Cindy.
She's inserted herself.
Not going to touch
I
that.
didn't realise she was doing that.
Sorry, did you want to touch that?
No.
One thing that I heard the other day was that, please do, I'm not a medical professional, but
Really?
not that I'm aware
Fooled
of.
me.
But I heard that like that 10,000 steps a day now equivalates to like reducing your chance of death by 50%. And I was like, well, that's a big statistic, but I'm not sure how those things connect necessarily. As I say it out loud, it doesn't sound
Does
great.
it work for ghosts?
No, I would
Is he trying to come back to life?
Well, I mean, it clearly didn't help his lung cancer.
No.
No.
Yeah. I don't think it works if you're doing 10,000 steps a day, but also smoking a pack a day.
I think it was several packs a day.
Several packs a day, well, that will still kill you.
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
Given the actor's size, one wouldn't expect him to walk silently. Apparently, his ghost doesn't either.
Don't.
Others, even those without vested interest in the Wild Goose, have also reported hearing the heavy footsteps on the deck.
I kind of want to hear more about the goose. So it was a pet goose?
The boat is called the Wild Goose.
Okay.
I'm sorry if you've thought there's been a goose hanging around this whole time, but honestly, I love that idea.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Wild goose. Maybe he had a wild goose. Maybe he just liked wild goose chasers.
Good one, Pilgrim.
I like that they don't worry, even people who aren't invested in the history of the boat are saying that it's haunted. Not just us biased people.
No, they're not saying it's haunted, they can hear the rhythmic thumping sound.
Yeah.
Which the boat is translating to them hearing the footsteps. But
Boat
come on.
noises?
Yeah. What rhythmic sounds could be happening on boats? Who knows? Ridiculous that doesn't happen. A dramatic incident in 1980 confirmed the ghost's protective nature. A wedding was being held on board the yacht.
I knew it. I said that they were going to be selling.
Well, you don't know. It could be John Hitchens' second wife.
I knew they were using it for monetary gain. Yeah, have your wedding, and if you're lucky, John Wayne might attend.
I don't know. I would do that. If I had bought a famous yacht. A famous yacht?
I can't think of many yachts that are more famous than this. But I don't think that really means much.
Right. Well, if I was rich enough to buy the yacht but was still poor enough to actually have to rent it out, I would rent it out for weddings. And I would totally sell it as John Wayne's yacht.
Yeah.
You know,
You could have
potentially his ghost is roaming.
Why not have a cowboy-themed wedding on board John Wayne's yacht?
I may say less. If I could go back and do it again.
Do you take this woman to be your wife? Yeah!
Hell of a destination wedding.
All right, a wedding was being held on board the yacht as it rode under its own power among the other ships in Newport Harbour, close to the property where the Wild Goose's famous former owner had lived. In what was probably a simple crew error, the yacht's engine suddenly stopped without warning. The boat sat powerless in the crowded harbour. Without the engines functioning, there was no way to control the ship. An uncontrolled ship in an enclosed and crowded body of water was an accident waiting to happen.
Dun, dun, dun.
Worse, it takes several minutes to restart the engines once they go dead. To the complete amazement of all those aboard, the Wild Goose did not float about aimlessly while the crew was working to return the ship's power.
It had an anchor.
Yeah. Far from it. Instead, the yacht moved in a controlled manner, against the force of a 40-knot wind, and came to rest gently in the soft mud at the shore in front of John Wayne's former home.
Ooh.
It doesn't take much of a stretch of the imagination to conclude that the craft's previous owner had taken over the controls during the emergency.
Not the tide.
No. Also, I don't know if John Wayne ever steered the ship.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's a ghost now. He's got ghostly powers.
You can do anything.
I mean, how much would you pay a crew to practice killing the engines in such a direction that sent you gently sailing towards John Wayne's house?
I think that
quite a lot. I'd practice it.
Yeah.
This is owned by a lawyer, and I'm pretty sure such a practice would be very against maritime law.
Sure. I mean, they mentioned it's against the wind. Does wind have much effect on a non-sailed vessel?
I couldn't imagine it would, Amber.
Tide is all up to it at that point, right?
I couldn't imagine wind without a sail has much effect at all.
I think 40 knot wind is a considerable.
Right. But if the
strong
boat
gale
was going based on the engines powering it and pushing it through the water, and suddenly the engines die, the wind suddenly doesn't go, whoa, and push it away.
I do think
going.
momentum and the tides are doing a lot of the work here.
Yeah.
I mean, this could be like a Mythbuster episode, but...
But also, how close to John Wayne's? Directly out the front? Or it's vaguely on this bank in this area? Yeah.
Can we set up something with like a bathtub and a fan and...
It just says the soft mud at the shore in front of his former home.
Oh, in front? Oh, okay. That would make me think that it is...
Close enough, yeah.
I mean, imagine...
The ship just went home.
Yeah.
Now,
imagine being that close to his former home at that particular time, at that particular place.
I don't know how many homes John Wayne owned on this particular harbour throughout the years, though.
You couldn't throw a stone without hitting one. Man, imagine that as your wedding story. If you weren't into John Wayne.
It sounded like a really idyllic statement until you made that.
You're compelled to tell it because it's interesting.
Yeah.
It kind of overshadowed your day. You can't not talk about your wedding day without being and then the ghost of John Wayne took us to his house.
I bet you one of them was more into John Wayne than the other.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
100%.
Yeah, and then there's one person in the couple that's guess what happened to us, and the other person in the couple is
No one remembers. No one remembers anything about that wedding except for that. No one remembers what the bride looked like.
Now that could be a blessing.
A lot of weddings. Well, no, I don't remember how many cocktails I ordered. That's kind of half the point.
Of attending someone else's wedding?
Or
Or your own? After Lynn Hutchins had owned the yacht for a number of years and was completely comfortable with the actor's continuing ghostly presence, he invited a group of psychics on board the 140-foot yacht. After exploring the craft, they brought back even more information than Hutchins had expected. One member of the group, Janice Hayes, reported receiving strongly negative vibrations while in the crew area below deck.
Yeah, some negative vibrations, man.
She determined that there had been controversy surrounding a young crew member who'd shown too much of an independent streak for his own good. I mean, John Wayne was also famously very controlling and conservative. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, that psychic just did her research before showing up.
Oh, you've invited me to a yacht? Oh, John Wayne's yacht. Oh, what a surprise.
I did not know that. That's not something I think I wanted to know, but...
Oh, John Wayne?
Yeah.
Famous shithead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Sorry.
Oh, that's... My bubble bursted. That's cool.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that a lot of actors and men in that era were probably not nice people by today's standards.
Can I just live in naivety, or is that...
No.
I need to know the truth.
The truth. We're reading a book about ghosts. I mean, it's all relative at this point. The ship's records confirmed her feelings. 20 years earlier, 2 young deckhands and a third young man defied direct orders by taking a small boat out while the Wild Goose was anchored in choppy waters. The trip proved to be just as dangerous as had been anticipated and resulted in both crew members drowning. Oh, but not the third random young man, I guess.
Well, someone had to live to tell the tale.
Ah, true. But yeah, the rest of the 32-man crew.
That's why you let someone go, right? Yeah, that's why, pirates let someone go. Like, pirates take a ship and they kill everybody, but they always, let somebody go so that someone lives to tell the tale.
Yeah, gotcha.
Famously, dead men tell no tales, Callum.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I thought you were saying that... I thought you were saying that they'd let these 3 men go. I'm like, well, they don't have to. 2 men are dead and one of them didn't work for the boat. Hutchins was certainly not surprised when the group identified the hallway leading to the head as a hotspot, because this was where he had first encountered the actor's ghostly manifestation.
Yeah, but if it's an engine block underneath or in the walls or mechanical workings of the ship, different parts are going to be hotter and colder depending on where the engine is.
I think they mean ghostly hotspot.
I know.
Okay.
But they would still be using equipment that measured air temperature or
Pressure
pressure or something. Yeah.
Or just the psychics hearing some spooky sounds.
There would just be parts of the ship that the instruments react differently to because the engine's different there or...
Yeah, no, admittedly, it would be, harder on a boat than a house, although I guess...
You're right. Yeah. Houses, not boats.
I just meant that, there's a lot
Except for houseboats. Those houses are boats.
Radio. I just made me think about, the stability of houses. But, houses, have... Some rooms are just colder.
There's not normally massive engines and gears and...
How much time are they spending on this yacht? They just spent too much money on it to not spend every spare moment they have on it.
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, okay, so I feel like we've established that they weren't wealthy enough to buy this yacht.
No. They could buy it, but they could not afford it.
Very true. So, because, obviously they're looking at different ways to profit.
Yeah. Wedding venue, yeah.
Yeah.
Psychics coming in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wonder how much they charged those psychics.
He
didn't pay them to come in. They paid to go on the ship, right?
Yeah. So they were looking not for a luxury item, but for some sort of weird investment. Yeah.
Yeah. The American dream.
Can you do that? Can you be like, I've got X-celebrity's ghost in my property. Do you want to come and talk to it?
Oh, yeah. Well, at that time, definitely.
How many pages is this book?
Oh, okay.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
If there's one thing...
to psychics in particular.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we identified was that psychics were particularly popular around the time where there was large amounts of death. And because people were looking for... What's what I'm looking for here? A sense of...
Closure?
Closure, comfort... I think psychics became popular around the time when there was a lot of death, because like people just wanted that sense of like feel close to their loved ones, and were willing to accept that they were. I think that as one society evolved, I think as death became more
less prevalent.
Less prevalent, yeah. Like when death became less prevalent, I think that there was
the psychics turned from the grifters to the marks.
Sure. But yeah, no, it's interesting how that extended to, at the time, properties and objects, where I feel like it was an extension of wanting to think that their loved ones had passed on to a different place as well, right? So the idea of belief in a haunted mansion or like a haunted John Wayne's yacht made them feel like maybe that their loved one could have gone on to another place or to haunt something as well.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, I think you can really capitalize on humans' general discomfort with the idea of death.
I wonder how
Wow.
John Wayne's family felt about this haunted yacht.
Which one of his 7 children would you like to ask?
I was going to say that was the Catholic Church's whole business model.
Yeah, not just the Catholic Church. One of the psychic investigators even reported receiving an expression of love from John Wayne for his longtime friend Patricia Stacey.
Okay,
Maybe
oddly specific.
There might be 8 kids out there, you don't know. The psychics also determined that the boat was still home to a former crew member.
Told ya. Called it.
Probably
Don't like to dress up as John Wayne.
No. A dead one.
Don't like to dress up as John Wayne.
That's what he said.
Quite possibly. Probably a man named Peter Stein. Stein served as captain of the ship until his death in 1969, and was a stereotypically colourful sort of old salt whose company John Wayne had always thoroughly enjoyed.
They definitely did their research about who was on this boat.
Yeah.
One of them looked up the World War II records to figure out who was... Yeah,
you can look up the public crew manifest of this ship at any time. Because these presences have always given the impression of benevolence, it is easy to see why the Wild Goose's owner, Lynn Hutchins, feels very much at home aboard his enormous haunted yacht. The end.
Well, now
or is it? Because we're only talking up till 1980, right?
Okay.
And ship ownership records they're public.
right.
He's going somewhere with
Did
this.
you look up who owns it now?
I did.
Looks very cheeky over there.
Yeah.
It does.
How much longer after 1980 do you think Lynn Hutchins owned the ship?
Sold it immediately.
I'm going to say after 10 years.
Split the difference. He sold it to the city of LA in 1986.
Yeah, they weren't making enough money off of it as a wedding venue. I imagine once you hear that the engine's cut halfway through it and it drifted off.
Yeah. We need to get this off of our books.
Unfortunately, it wasn't Vegas as a wedding venue.
No, it was still within California at least, but let's get it away from San Francisco and take it up to LA, shall we? Nobody knows about it up there.
Why'd they buy it? Does it still haunt?
Oh, it had owners after that.
Oh, okay.
As well, but that's who we sold it to.
Right.
For some reason, the city,
Yeah. The government.
the city of LA decided to buy it.
Yeah.
I was actually, it reminded me about Elvis Presley, and I was thinking maybe we could drive it up the coast, and then does LA have I don't know where LA, where is Las Vegas is? Does that happen?
Inland.
Very inland. So we'd have to
Las
carry the boat
Vegas is very famously in the middle of the Nevada desert.
It is very close to...
Right, so we'll put the yacht on a truck, and we'll drive it into Las Vegas, and then we'll call it Elvis Presley's boat. But I was going to say...
not even John Wayne's boat.
No,
jettison him from the story. It's Elvis Presley's now.
Elvis
Elvis Presley probably owned a boat.
Probably. And it just reminded me of the tragic life of Elvis Presley, because I think he had a pretty tragic life in the grand scheme of things.
Well, if there's one thing you can say for John Wayne, he did not shit himself to death.
Did Elvis Presley shit himself to death?
Yeah.
Olly, really?
I didn't know he shit himself to death.
Do you not know how Elvis Presley died?
Well, actually,
I
no,
thought he died on the
I
toilet. I
don't
didn't know he
think he
shit
shit himself to death.
No,
I think
you're right.
You shit yourself
he
to
was
death.
so constipated that he gave himself like
an aneurysm attempting to shit.
Yeah.
Well,
because
that's like the opposite of shit. He was eating... It's like trying to shit to live.
Do you know what a fool's gold loaf is?
Well, I'm very interested to know. What's a fool's gold?
Do we want to do this after we finish recording? Or
God, no, let's do it.
Okay, so it's a sandwich that Elvis Presley and all of his friends were obsessed with. They used to get on a plane and fly from state to state to go to the one restaurant that made this sandwich.
It's a hollowed out loaf of bread.
Okay.
Filled with the contents of 1 jar of creamy peanut butter.
Okay.
1 jar of blueberry jam.
Jesus.
And 1 pound of bacon.
Well, that doesn't sound healthy.
No.
And he was eating these.
Oh, right.
On the regular.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that where he died?
People suspect it.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, look,
I think the barbiturates in his system weren't helping either.
I'm going to go ahead on a limb and just say that I think he was pretty depressed as well.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's like happy and like self-destructive at the same time.
He used to eat them with Perrier champagne.
Well, that's how you do it. That's really what you do.
Gotta get fancy up in here.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, if you don't want me to ruin another idol, I won't tell you about Elvis Presley's political leanings.
Oh, I do. I want you to ruin all the idols. I didn't know. Did Elvis Presley have like a bad...
Good friends with Nixon.
Does that... Well, maybe you just didn't know. Maybe he just wasn't following politics.
Knew.
So...
Didn't he like famously like support integration in between like cultures?
He stole black people music and got famous with it, and never credited any of them.
I thought it was more like supportive. Like, well, that's what the movie said anyway.
No.
Really?
If he was supportive, he would have been on stage with them. He would have been in movies with them. He would have credited them, had them on his albums. No.
I thought they were credited to a degree. No? All right. Well, fine. Just be like that.
I will ruin all of old Hollywood. Do you want me to tell you about Dean
Martin?
Okay,
no. That's a different podcast. Callum ruins old Hollywood.
We haven't done that reference in a while, actually. Like, this is not the
second-hand Hollywood.
Ruining Hollywood.
We can do it. That's already half of podcasts, though. We're not doing it. What we are doing is finding our MVPs for the episode. There's not a lot.
The wild goose itself.
The wild goose itself. You know what? Yes. She is a character, isn't she?
I'm going to stick with John Wayne, because, John Wayne.
He had to find his yacht a good home.
I think I'm going with Cindy for putting up with all this bullshit.
I think wedding venue was her idea.
Yes. Yeah. If it's the one thing that could save their marriage. More marriages.
Hopefully they stay together.
I didn't look that up, and I don't think I want to.
They divorced in the 80s, and that's why they had to sell the boat, so they could split the money down the...
it might be too.
No. They were...
One of the things we used to joke about was George and I used to like watching Grand Design episodes together. Oh, you're not a big fan of Grand Design?
No, I think I've heard this from you before.
Okay.
Just want to do a quick interjection. Elvis Presley did own a yacht.
Hey,
he owned the USS Potomac, previously owned by Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Oh my god!
He owned Roosevelt's yacht?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh my.
He later donated it to a children's hospital.
Oh, well, that's better than selling it.
Yeah.
All right.
Sick kids on yacht.
Congratulations, kid. Look what Elvis has given you. Yay!
As soon as you get off that IV, jump onto the yacht.
What's that? You're feeling sick? You're feeling nauseous? Well, get on the boat. Couldn't be worse. Maybe you've just got C leukemia.
Wow.
Well, that just, yeah.
Wow, Callum.
That was, took a dive. So anyway, we used to watch these episodes start off with like a couple building a house together, and then they would end when they come back and be like, so like, how's it going? Well, we've broken up.
The wife left me, but I finished the house.
But I finished the house. In one case, like, the husband died, and there was like a couple episodes where they broke up. One guy lost his whole family. Like, he started off by
Jesus
making the
Christ.
house together, and then when they came back to do the episode, the house didn't get done. The wife and kids left him.
I love
he
that
sold
they-
off the property. And do you know what the funniest thing about that? They filmed it.
Yeah, why air? I guess you've got to air it because you spent the money film it. Like,
I don't think they have to air it. I think it was just like, you know what? That was the thing. The good thing about the British, Grand Design, it was real. Real stories.
Anyway, does anyone have a word award this week? It's all pretty normal words in this story. So I think by default, I'm going to have to award it to head, as in a ship's bathroom.
Oh, is that what a ship's bathroom is called?
Yes, I explained this 2 pages ago.
Yeah.
there's been a
3
lot,
hours
there's been a
ago.
lot of other things between that.
It feels
now.
like an age ago now.
But if nobody else has any, no.
Can I just say Wayne,
Wayne, Pilgrim.
Pilgrim.
Pilgrim?
Oh, I'm just gonna go with goose
Goose, done.
because I like gooses.
Head, Goose, and Pilgrim. What a triumvirate to end an episode of
Second-hand haunting.
This week's story is from Ghost Stories of California by Barbara Smith. Episode edited by Callum Patrick for the Peas in a Podcast Network.